It's all there in the Constitution, what we are asking. There are fringe groups. Any society has fringe groups. How can I be blamed for it? You tell me if I'm not prosecuting them. But everyone is prosecuted, but the media now shows no interest when the prosecution starts. I have a son-in-law with whom I have a lot of discussion. Educated Muslim men. I mean, they are in all high places. Some are ambassadors. I have an intelligence bureau officials, senior level, who are Muslim. No, the problem is not that. The problem is they are not able to confront the militant mullah. So they are not vocal. They say that, the terrorists are not practicing the real Islam. So I said, please tell us what the real Islam is. They say, no, that we can't do because then we'll be declared as a, what is it called? Anyway, that's right. So that, and then we'll be target for killing. We will not define what is true Islam because we don't have the authority. But we can only say this much. Now that's not, even the most educated people are not willing to say. That we don't reject the following, we reject the following verses in Quran. I can read out to you verses of Quran which clearly say what you have to do to somebody who doesn't agree to convert. Christians, we don't really have a very substantive problem, except the fear that, they are proselytizing religion. And they're under pressure from abroad. But you don't have a Christian terrorists. So it's easier to deal with them. The problem with Islam is it treats itself as an international religion. And the ISIS and all, they want Muslims to regard themselves part of an international community, the caliphate. That's where the problem arises.
Separate to national.
And if a Muslim identifies with India, then he becomes suspect in that eyes, and he could be subject to violence. So it's a complicated question, but it can be done. It must be done, because we are the same people. Just because they pray one way, we pray another way, it should not make a difference. To identify, you have to culturally come together. And all this composite business is overdone. You see, the issue is that the mainstream gender equality, agreeing that all religions lead to God, that would be very tough for Christians and Muslims, particularly Catholics, to accept that all religions lead to God. And they have told me, frankly, I've had discussions, that this will never accept. Because we are proselytizing country, religion. And we cannot accept equality of religions. We say ours is superior, the rest are all sons of Satan or kaffir. In the case of Muslim, that somehow the Muslim intellectual must resist and oppose and redefine that maybe that time it was like this, whatever was written. But today in the 21st century, this is the moderated version. But that's very risky for them, and the Hindu society should support them.
Last year, dispatches revealed a message of hatred and intolerance in some of Britain's most mainstream mosques.
We Muslims have been ordered to do brainwashing.
An ideology with its roots in Saudi Arabia.
The pinnacle, the crest, the summit of Islam is jihad.
Our reporter, a Muslim herself, is going undercover in the most important and influential mosque in the country. London's Central Mosque, an Islamic cultural centre, usually known as Regent's Park Mosque, says it promotes tolerance and interfaith. We featured it in last year's dispatches, and the mosque promised to crack down on anyone promoting extremism on its premises. So she's going back to find out if they've been true to their word. Women aren't allowed in the main hall, so she's directed upstairs to the main women's section on a large balcony overlooking the hall. The teacher today is Amira.
This is very, very good book.
She starts with a revision session on what should happen to people who break Islamic laws, including Muslims who convert to another faith.
But he's Muslim and he gets out of Islam. He doesn't want any more. What we're going to do? Kill. Kill. Yeah, kill. Then have to kill. You understand? We're talking about Islam.
Worshippers, many of whom are children or teenagers, are being taught the Saudi Arabian interpretation of Sharia law from official Saudi books. This fundamentalist interpretation of Islam is being taught in Britain's most important and supposedly moderate mosque. Amira teaches what she says is an important principle in Islam. A Muslim must hate as well as love.
It's not enough that you worship Allah, you have to also, in our heart, hate what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please to Allah, and love what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
She says this principle relates to living with non-Muslims.
You have to hate what displeases to Allah, especially when living with this country that's non-Muslim.
And asks a worshipper to read out a verse from the Quran,
Stand up and hate this. Stand up.
which she says is about relations between Muslims and non-Muslims.
Verily, we are free from you, and whatever you worship besides Allah, we have rejected you, and there has appeared between us and you hostility and hatred forever until you believe in Allah alone.
Amira says it means Muslims must separate from non-Muslims.
You understand, sister? Islam is the tabarruk min ash-shirk wa ahli, the people who do the shirk. Any questions?
After the lesson, our reporter approaches Amira to ask her to clarify her teaching.
You know, when we talked about the love and enmity for Allah, how do we apply that? How as a Muslim do I apply that? Yeah.
Muslims should show good manners to non-Muslims and can try to convert them to Islam, but cannot befriend them. She uses the Arabic term kaffir, meaning disbeliever or infidel.
To be good friend, give them all about our secret, understand? You have to be friend with them. That is not allowed. Because wala is only to Muslim, not to the kafir.
The Saudi religious scholars adopt a very strict and radical interpretation of the status of a Muslim minority in a non-Muslim society. A true Muslim should not associate with infidels. So you are physically here, but mentally, socially, religiously, you belong elsewhere.
Now we've found this message of segregation being taught at the most important mosque in the country. It's visited by world leaders and even has its own interfaith department, which organises visits from government, the civil service, representatives of other religions, and thousands of British schoolchildren a year. The mosque says the aim of these visits is to promote understanding and respect between the communities. Our reporter is filming as some of the interfaith groups are brought into the women's area.
So this is what we have in our heart. It's just
On this occasion, Amira meets them.
let me know how to reach you, the right way.
On another occasion, a group of non-Muslims is invited to sit down with the circle. The preacher promotes Islam to them, but talks politely about other religions too.
And the message, the Quran, came to confirm the truth in the previous scriptures.
But as soon as the interfaith group leaves, the same preacher's tone changes completely. She now says Christian teachings are vile.
And we feel nothing sometimes going past the church. We don't look at it in disgust and think, subhanAllah, what are these people doing in there? What they say with their tongues is so vile and disgusting. It's an abomination.
Like the other preachers in the circle, she says she's teaching from the works of the Saudi scholars. In this case, Sheikh bin Baz, a former Grand Mufti of the kingdom. The teachings include that a Muslim cannot be tolerant of other religions.
He shouldn't just be indifferent and say things like, you go to church, I go to the mosque, let's all stay together like one big happy family and all be united as humanity. This is false, this does not work, this concept is a lie, it's fake, and it's a farce.
The circle preaches for 8 hours a day on Saturdays and Sundays. Any woman who goes there to pray is likely to hear their preaching. Our reporter is told the circle was set up years ago by Amira, but while she's been in Saudi Arabia, it's been run by this woman, Salim. She too preaches Saudi teachings. She says she's met a Muslim woman who is too friendly to non-Muslims.
When she sees A kafir woman, big smile. When she turns around, she sees me there. Yeah. It's part of Islam, of the aqeed, of the correct belief, that you love those who love Allah, and that you hate those who hate Allah. Okay?
Although the preachers say Muslims should act well with non-Muslims, in private they were often disparaging about their ways and beliefs. In 2 months at the mosque, we only recorded one incident of dissent. A worshipper sitting in the audience objects to the teachings on disbelievers, saying Islam encourages Muslims to mix with others.
There is an ayah of the Quran says, we made of you peoples, different shu'ub, to know one another. And if you communicate with the other and you show the beauty of Islam, then, then maybe people could come into Islam.
The preacher qualifies her statements a little.
It doesn't mean that we should oppress them. It doesn't mean that we don't give the right. It doesn't mean that we don't help them. Okay?
But then returns to the main theme.
But it doesn't mean as well that we should befriend them.
Regent's Park Mosque was set up 60 years ago to represent British Muslims to the government. It says its role is to help Muslims integrate into British society. But far from preaching integration, Salim says Muslims cannot take British citizenship. Their loyalty is to Allah.
There are some conditions that can take you into the kufr, to take the British citizenship. Whether you like it or not, for these people you are selling your religion for. It's a very serious thing. It is not allowed to give allegiance to other than Allah.
In last year's dispatches, we found the mosque's official bookshop was selling a number of speeches by preachers promoting hatred and intolerance.
Kaffir, ya Latif. The worst word that can ever be written.
Dr. Al-Dubayan told us the bookshop was independently run by a company called Dar al-Salam International Publications, a British company with links to Saudi Arabia. But he said he was seriously concerned and said that the DVDs had been removed immediately, pending an investigation. And he called on all British Muslim organisations to be vigilant about the message being spread on their premises, either during talks or on recorded DVDs. So our reporter went back to the bookshop and went to the same shelves to see if he had been as good as his word. But despite his promises, she found they're still selling the speeches of exactly the same preachers we identified last year. They're still selling DVDs of Murtaza Khan, a British school teacher and preacher. In this one, he attacks the Western idea that women can be independent from men.
The mental capacity of this society teaches you, I'm a woman in my own right. I can get my own job, I can get my own funding, I can get my own welfare, I can get my own flat, I can get my own home, I can get my own state benefit. I don't need you in my life. What is that? Deception of the devil.
And says men should control them.
Man is stronger than women, but men today don't know how to take care of their families. That's why their women walk loose, their women speak loose. And that's their evil society, that Muslim society has become like that today.
And they're still selling DVDs of Sheikh Faiz, who was trained to preach in a Saudi religious university, condemning disbelievers.
The kafir are kafir. Who cares what they do? They do the most evil, filthy things. The disbelievers, the evil, wicked, mischievous people. Black, you can see the evil in that face. Do not mix with people who do not prostrate to the oneness of Allah Ta'ala, who do not prostrate to the Almighty Lord. Keep far away from people like that.
Last year we found DVDs of him calling Jews pigs who would be killed at the end of the world. In this new one from the bookshop, he is still condemning Jewish beliefs and Jews themselves.
The leader of pride or arrogance are no other than the Jews. Wallahi, they got the most extreme racial pride in them. An abominated, filthy, disgusting, gross belief. Their time will come, like every other evil person's time will come.
And they're selling more speeches by Sheikh Khalid Yassin, who learned Arabic in Saudi Arabia. In some of the DVDs we found, he says Muslims could have a constructive relationship with non-Muslims. But in this DVD, He praises the Sharia law practiced in Saudi Arabia, saying he's witnessed public beheadings there.
When you enter Saudi Arabia, everybody knows how everything goes. They're the only ones that have the power and who have the audacity and who have the principle to continue punishing the people as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said punish them. At least I say we Muslims should have that kind of power all over the world. And that people can see people without hands. People can see in the public heads rolled down the street. People got their hands and feet from opposite sides chopped off and they see them crucified. They see people get punished. They see people get put up against a pole and see them get lashed in the public. They see it. And because they see that, that acts as a deterrent for them because they think about that. They say, oh, I don't want that to happen to me.
So where are we going, Ivan?
We're going to Lakemba. Is that how you pronounce it? Lakemba?
You're asking me?
Lakemba Mosque. Recently, Lauren Southern, Canadian journalist, went there and she got kicked out by the police saying that she was inciting violence because it was a very religious part of the city. Way, right?
Yeah. What religion are you?
I used to be a Muslim. I'm now an atheist.
And how do you feel about that?
Pretty good. Why did I leave Islam?
Why did you leave Islam?
Because I evaluated and analyzed it and I thought that there was no evidence backing up the claim.
So you were a Muslim one day?
Yes.
And then you left Islam?
Yes.
As me, go ahead, because I'm not representing Islam 100%. We've got weaknesses.
Right.
But if you want to criticize Muhammad sallallahu, that's when we have a problem, because he was perfect.
But doesn't that give people the wrong impression and to see like, oh, look, Christians, they can take it, but Muslims are too sensitive?
100%.
Isn't that a bad thing?
Part of our religion, and you should know that.
Do you think at some point there's going to be Sharia law everywhere?
100%. This is my goal, and every Muslim's goal.
And
to
you think
establish Sharia law on earth?
Okay, but when there is Sharia law on earth, then somebody like me should be killed? Because I am a murtad.
It's up to the Amir.
But it's under Islamic law, it says that I should be killed. So you think that's okay?
In the Sharia law, that's what I follow.
But do you think that's fair? For me, like, let's say you're right, I'm wrong. Do you think it's fair to kill me because I got the conclusions wrong?
If Sharia law states that, then it should be fair for me. There's always a safe haven for you under Sharia law.
No, because you said Sharia law on everywhere on earth, so there's not going to be any safe haven for me. If Islam dominates all of earth.
That's the plan, and you
that's
either
the plan.
have
So where would be my safe haven?
In Islam.
But that would be by force then, wouldn't it? If my only safe haven is by Islam, and if I don't go back to Islam, punishment is death.
So there's two choices: Islam or death.
I only want to say that doubt is okay. Doubt.
No, you can't have doubt.
Why not?
No room in doubt to offer me. You're the most dangerous person. Why? Because you know Islam.
I'm the most dangerous person?
You are. Because you know Islam.
We're being told that this is the line that you do not cross. Mocking Muhammad or mocking Islam is not covered under free speech. Even in Europe is now laws are being changed. In Canada, they're introducing the word Islamophobia into the law.
Do you not think people that have lost human touch need some laws? So we can mock people if we think we're right in regards to that. Is that correct?
Yes, you should be able to. You should be able to do that. You should be allowed to do that. That's acceptable.
And respectable.
It will become respectable in one scenario.
What's the scenario?
If I threaten you. No, let me answer your question. If I threaten you that if you mock me, you're going to see negative consequences. I'm going to come and find you. Then I think you should mock me. You should mock me. You should get everybody you know to mock me. So you can show me that if I threaten people not to mock me, it's going to get worse. Everyone's going to mock me. In that scenario, if I threaten people not to mock me, then everybody should mock me. You see my point?
So the answer is it acceptable or unacceptable?
In that scenario, it's acceptable and it's a duty.
So it's okay, we walk up to people and we tell them, excuse me, sir, you look like a dog. Are you saying it's fine that people start doing this based on freedom of expression?
It should be allowed for you to do that. Yes.
That's most disgusting. No more comments, thank you.
Okay.
Most disgusting.
All right. Well, thank you. install I have no moral values because if I think it's okay to mock Islam and shame on me and all of that, which is fine. Even if he thinks that, at the end of the day, he's still willing to have a conversation with me. There are still many people here who are willing to listen to you and have a conversation with you. And as you can see today, we even managed to change opinions. A lot of people started by saying, you can't criticize Islam. And within minutes of giving him a few examples, they said, okay, fine, you can criticize Islam. And that was only after a few minutes. These conversations are not pointless. People change opinions based on conversations. So if you think people are lost, if you think people are not willing to listen, if you think even people who listen will not change their mind, that's not the case. The more conversations we have, the better. There's no reason why we should hold back on talking to people.